Well, it's certainly the right approach here from Lincoln Riley, but it's complete BS on the account of the NCAA. And I'm glad that Riley is seeing this from a larger perspective because it's a rule that is just awful. I mean, I don't understand why when you talk about, okay, the use of marijuana or whatever, how in this day and age can we truly consider that to be some sort of major infraction? I just don't get it. And so I could go on and on that account. But for Riley, I mean, what are you going to do? I really don't know at this point how you can sit here and approach a situation like that because the NCAA has just gone about this whole situation of 2020 without much true involvement. I mean, they just kind of thrown something at the fire and seen what happens. But when it comes to stuff like this, I mean, it's clear that this is very low on their totem pole. So I'm glad that Riley's saying, you know what, we're going to have to cut our losses here. But at the same time, we hope to see this never happen again, not only to our players, but to anyone of the like. And so, look, man, we really don't know what's going to happen for these guys. I hope just for their sake that they are able to get back on the field very soon. I don't know that that's going to happen, but at the same time, I do hope that this is a learning experience for the NCAA, and at some point they say, hey, maybe that was a misstep, and as a result, we get guys in a better position moving forward to where something like this doesn't completely throw their college career off the tracks.
I wanted to bring up in this segment also where we are in relation to players, player-athlete rights, and social issues, because this has been a thing with Kansas State, and we're going to see it be a thing with Oklahoma. Kansas State had its unity game against Arkansas State where players wore BLM patches and they played Lift Every Voice and Sing during the pregame, which is known as the Black National Anthem. It's a really fantastic song, and I would encourage everyone to learn the lyrics because I think first and second verse in particular are pretty damn good. Kansas State got backlash from its season ticket holders, and in a letter writing campaign, people said that they were canceling their season tickets because BLM was on the shoulder pads of their players and because they did not feel that the support of an organization is what they signed up for, to which Gene Taylor, the athletic director at Kansas State, made pains to say, hey, look, we're not supporting any organization. We are supporting our players who are saying that they are in pain. And I don't think that's a hard thing to do, to stand behind your players. It's not a hard thing to call out racist. It's also not the easiest thing to pick fights with your family about some issues in which they might be awful people, but they also support the team that you like. This week, we're going to probably see Oklahoma wear a black stripe down the middle of its white helmet, which to me signifies Rough Rider themed look for them, right? And that black stripe is also going to be a part of their unity game. Do you think that putting the black stripe is a great compromise as opposed to putting a BLM patch on the jerseys? Do you think that fans are going to react the way that you and I might react, which is to say, cool, we get to stand with the players, we get to support them on this? Or do you think we could see something similar like what we saw at Kansas State?
I think there's going to be both ends of the seesaw here. I mean, obviously there's a spectrum to any of these things, but I appreciate the fact that Oklahoma is taking this step. And if I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and look, but there's like a unity sticker on the back of those helmets.
Yes, you're right.
I mean, look, I'm all for being very vocal about, number one, the support of these players, and number two, the support of the idea of, hey, Black Lives Matter. But I do also expect plenty of backlash to match some of the support that's found in the fan base. And I think anyone that has observed, I don't know, anything that's going on would kind of expect something similar. So I applaud OU's administration for doing something like this. I'm glad that they're still going through it, especially when their opponent faced backlash not too long ago. So we'll see how this thing goes. But at the same time, if this is what they feel is right, then so all forces ahead. And I think this is definitely the right move, and I'm glad that they're doing it.
I always am floored by just how far Lincoln Riley is willing to go in a place where I know that he does not always have the great support that I would want to see him get on these issues from their unity campaign themselves. They were all black. They went into their courtyard. He gave a speech. It's not something I'm used to seeing a college football coach do. He also was at the forefront of saying, no, my players need to be heard on this, and I will support them in being heard on this. And he threw down a marker. He said anything that turns violent, no, I'm not gonna allow that. But we've also seen Justin Broyles lead protest in Oklahoma City, and we've seen his players continue to be vocal about it. Creed Humphrey among them, who has been vocal about it. So I'm interested to see how this goes, because I think most people know where I sit on these issues. They're very dear to me, and being able to talk about them with some level of clarity is always difficult. And I appreciate folks for hearing and then trying to be proactive. All right, so from there, I want to go to individual matchups as we see them being interesting in this Oklahoma versus Kansas State game. You have already identified one I think that a good football person is going to identify as well. Go ahead, Colin. Tell me what you think the most interesting matchup is for OU Kansas State.
Yeah, for me, man, it's Wyatt Hubert, the standout defensive end for Kansas State, against whoever the hell is playing left tackle for OU. I mean, obviously, last week or 2 weeks ago, it was Adrian Ely sliding over from right to left. Eric Swenson has the ability to get there. Stacey Wilkins could be back. But, I mean, true freshman Anton Harrison was slated to start that position. And if he is back with no prior game experience, going up against Wyatt Hubert, one of, if not the best defensive end in the Big 12, that's a big deal for me, man. Like, Hubert, he is an absolute force. He's continued to build himself up to look like an NFL guy. And Harrison, while he has the frame already of a D1 left tackle, doesn't have the experience right now. And I think we don't have him penciled in to start because obviously there are several options. But at the same time, no matter if it's him or any of the other candidates to play left tackle, you probably would feel best if it's Adrian Ely. But at the same time, I think Adrian Ely would probably be at his best if he's over on the right side. So I'm keying in on the blind side versus Wyatt Hubert. I feel like if Kansas State's coaching staff wants to have a good shot at this game, they're going to just sit Hubert over whoever is over there on the left tackle position, and they're going to see where this thing goes. But if it doesn't work out and Oklahoma's left tackle play is similar to what it got from a season ago, it's going to be a long day over there, and Spencer Rattler is going to have to adjust quickly.